Yes, yes. There are superficial things that came in a factor. Maybe not superficial. Maybe that's not the word that I'm looking for. But there's surface level shit that came into play. Like, you know, intimidation of the woman that I've become. And it's not surface level. It's just in comparison to, if I'm using these phrases correctly, but I'm saying it's surface level because there's another contrasting aspect that gets deeper. So, the intimidation of the woman that I've become, jealous, envy, controlling, those were, of course, deceitful. Those were ugly parts of himself that, and there's more, but I want to get to the bigger point. I don't want to lose track. So those are the ugly things of himself that, of course, played a role in being a detriment of us. But as a whole, he could not understand me. He could not deal with, handle my love, the woman, the core of me in all my glory. He could not handle that. Partially, maybe in great part, but partially because he lacked self-love, self-awareness, knowledge of self. Those key components that would allow you acceptance of love outside of oneself. You have to have those key components: self-awareness, knowledge of self, and I don't believe he had that. And it's quite possible that he's never had it. It is quite possible, and this is real shit that I'm saying, and it's like me picking the scab off a wound. It still hurts, it still stings to say this out loud, admittedly, but and this is just my perception. But it's quite possible that he have not ever experienced love to then be able to say, to have something to compare it to have something to hold on to, like the idea of it, to be able to say, or the knowledge of it, or the understanding of it, to be able to say, I want that for me. I want that love for me. Maybe he knows very well what tolerance is. Maybe he knows very well what respect is. Because though that's like basic training in the hood. That's like basic training in the hood. So maybe he's very familiar with that. And maybe in trying to find love, if he did, I'm not sure about that. But maybe in his experiences, he's associated those things with love and just configured somewhere that was love. You know, respect and tolerance and compliance and submission. You know, maybe, I don't know. You know, I don't know. This is me reaching. Because when you experience love, it is a dire component to survival. Back in the days, you know, when I was in college, I was doing some research about love, and let me tell you something. They have done studies on children, newborn babies, who parents were there and loved them and nurtured them, and I'm talking about from birth to newborn babies who were automatically put up for adoption. So there was no bonding time, okay? Because there was a time when they felt like, okay, we're gonna not give the babies a chance to bond with their families, you know, because that alters the state of the baby in some, you know, some type of way, and even the parents, you know. So there was no bonding time. So they did a study of children that were babies, newborn babies, put up for adoption this immediately, versus babies that had the bonding time and nurturing and everything like that with their parents. They did that study for the length of time that the children had to stay in the hospital. Now, mind you, this was an old study because it was a time when children stayed in the hospital for 2 weeks or more, you know, until they were physically able to go home and be just solely codependent on their parents. You know, it was all different back then. But they did the study and they found that the children who did not have that bonding time and the nurturing immediately after birth until the time they were able to leave the hospital, there was a high death rate amongst those children. And the ones that survived had mental health issues. This is real shit. So you know, you can look that up. Going on into because they caught back up with these children not into their adulthood, but until school age. You know, because the children were in the system, and they would, you know, periodically check in with these children, and they had behavioral issues and the mental health challenges. And I'm just saying that I'm bringing that point up, and this is shit that you can research. And I'm bringing that point up because that's just how imperative love is to survival. So I, in comparison with my own experience, I simply can't believe, or maybe I'm just not understanding how how someone can have an experience with love, even if it's parental love. How you have, and it's a brother, sibling love, maternal love. How you do not aspire to keep that in your life. And so, I mean, think about it now. Think about it. We have, when you do, the spiritual research, if you want to even go into religion, you have gods that broke laws to have romantic relations, spiritual, and excuse me, not spiritual, to have romantic love with humans. There's a dire need for the soul and the spirit to be able to experience that. Why you think they say, oh, God is a jealous God? He don't want anyone to put any, he doesn't want you to put no one before him. There is a dedicated love that is required by you, even from the Creator. So I personally believe that there's no way one can experience love in any capacity and not always want to have it in a capacity, in any capacity. You feel me? And pertaining to him, I honestly feel like it is quite possible that maybe he haven't had an experience with that. He haven't had an experience with love. So he does not love himself. He does not know how. And it is sad, it is unfortunate, but another truth is a lot of people don't love themselves. A lot of people don't know how. Right? And so it's quite possible that he didn't love himself, and it's possible he didn't know how, and not. He could not love me back, nor could he accept my love because he lacked a love for self, self-awareness, knowledge of self. He lacked those things, and therefore love outside of himself probably was non-existent to him, or a facade to him. Something, that he couldn't understand, something that he couldn't relate to. And this is me, configuring some shit. And it's quite possible it's probably not even my place to configure some shit for him. But I need for you to feel me that I'm not trying to configure any fucking thing for him. This is me searching for closure on my own because I never got it. Searching for understanding how I can be surreal with someone that I genuinely cared for, and for me to get the treatment that I got, like it that math wasn't mathing, it wasn't adding up, you know. And I just don't believe in no capacity or no way was I deserving of it. So for him to be able to dish it out so easily, I'm trying to get my closure on that. Like, you know, how could you? And, you know, as the old saying goes, people treat you how they feel about you, yes. But people also treat you how they feel about themselves. You understand? So all of this foul shit that he was doing is because, well, you know the vibes. I just went through it. I just explained it. And I don't want to be repetitive. Right? So I'm just putting it out there, and, you know, perhaps it'll give you something to think about and compared to your situation. I don't know. I know we're all at 6 degrees of separation. So the players may be different, but the object of the game, and I'm not trying to make light of it and say like a game is fun. No. I'm just making a metaphor. The players are different, but the object of the game is very similar, if not the same. So in 6 degrees of separation, maybe, you know, we can help each other get through some shit. And ultimately, I will definitely be glad when I can leave all of this behind me, you know. And I'll get there. I'm being patient with myself and getting there. I would love to just rush it the fuck through because I'm ready to move forward. Leave it the fuck behind. Like, I want that for me. But I also know if this shit is not done right, then somewhere in the future, I'll have to revisit it. And I don't want to do that. If you don't learn the lesson, you'll repeat it. And this is one of the motherfucking lessons I don't want to relearn. I want to learn this shit this motherfucking time around. And so for the most part, I'm good. I am good. And I'm grateful for the space that I'm in now, that I've gotten to this point. There was a great deal of negativity I was able to let go of. I'm grateful for that because that shit get heavy. You know, it gets heavy, and it wasn't my cross to bear. You know, it wasn't. I'm done carrying shit for other people. And so I'm grateful to be at this point. But I'm still learning, even though I'm progressing and moving forward. I just have to pace myself. Steady wins the race, you know, so I am pacing myself. And yeah, that's where I am. And I'm proud of myself. I'm proud of of myself that I have that I've gotten here. And I wish that for you. I wish continued progress for you, but I also wish you knowledge, wisdom, and understanding in your healing, inner standing. I wish that for you. I wish that for all of us, so that we can have true liberation. Because that's where true liberation lies, in healing. Okay? So, be blessed.